This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you feel like your best, fam, you can do anything. You can accomplish all those goals in your life, make sure your family's good, and even start, who knows, a mildly successful podcast. Sometimes life gets you bogged down. You might feel overwhelmed. You're not showing up every day the way that you want to. But working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of you. Because when you feel empowered, you're more prepared to take on everything that life throws at you. The benefits of therapy are endless. It's great to just check in with somebody who can give you some perspective on life. Make sure that you're meeting all the goals that you set for yourself in life. So whether or not you've been in therapy, now could be the time to give BetterHelp a shot. It's convenient, flexible, affordable, and entirely online. Just fill out their brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Couldn't be easier. If you want an empowered life, therapy can get you there. So visit BetterHelp.com/madaboutmovies today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/madaboutmovies. Ladies and gentlemen, grab a Lone Star beer. I'm Kent Garrison.
I'm Brian Gill.
And I'm Richard Barton.
And this is Mad
About
Movies.
You sound insane. You realize that? Yeah. The whole world gone crazy. Seriously? It's showtime.
Mad About Movies is your go-to podcast for all things cinema. We give you movie news, movie rumors, and movie rumblings before we get into our chosen movie of the week. Stay tuned for the end of our show, and we will give you a weekly recommend where we give you the newest thing that you need to get out and see or read or listen to or whatever ASAP. This week's chosen movie, as it were, of the week is what, Richard?
True Detective.
First HBO series we've done on this podcast, guys, I believe. If we don't count the Clear History episode, which was a TV movie.
Well, we did do the In Treatment podcast, but that was a few years ago. Stuff week by week, In Treatment, breakdown.
That great choice there. That's the most random.
That is the most random one you could have thought of. I'm trying to jog my memory and remember that show.
Gabriel Byrne masterpiece.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Sorry. Apologies.
Hey, what happens?
But we're all big fans of HBO here. We're all subscribers of the home box office. And, you know, these guys, they're cranking out such great original content. And, you know, some of this borderline is a movie. You know, it's like mini-series / movie here. Certainly the production value of this True Detective series is up to the par of certainly a lot of Matthew McConaughey's most recent work, as well as Woody Harrelson. They've done quite a few movies together, I believe. They did Ed TV together back in the 90s, and they did one more since then. I can't put my name on it. Y'all are gonna have to remind me of what it is.
Surfer Dude.
That was it, Surfer Dude.
Dead serious, that's what it is.
That's what it's called, yeah, exactly. But I want to ask you, Brian Gill, first, if you could give us your basic thoughts on this True Detective series before we get into specifics, and of course save spoilers for later. But what are your general thoughts on the first season of True Detective?
One of the best. I don't know if you could call this a TV series because it really is a mini series, I guess. Wouldn't you say, or an event series? I mean, I know they're doing other seasons of it, but it's going to be a different thing every time.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it, one of the best shows I've ever had the privilege of watching. Man, this thing is next level on what they're doing, and I love the premise. I love the idea. I love the casting. Obviously, an American treasure, and certainly a future American treasure.
Treasure.
That's right, and I love the setting. Man, this is. I want to talk more later about the the format, because I think that honestly that's the biggest part of this story for me. But dude, just as an 8-episode miniseries or TV show or whatever, I just don't think you get much better than this. It's powerful. It was horrifying at times, but at the same time, some of the best parts are the slow burn, right? Like they just he keeps you coming back for more, and it draws it out, the plot and the various twists and turns and stuff. It gets drawn out so masterfully over the course of the 8 episodes. Just keeps you on the hook the whole time, and it always felt very organic to me. Like it didn't feel like it was a stretch, or that they were adding, twists just to keep people hooked, or to keep it going for 8 episodes. Like it didn't feel like a stretch. It all felt very natural, and this is the length of time that it will take to tell this story in complete. In the depth that it deserves. Man, I'm just so glad that this is something that we've gotten to do. I mean, this is just such a great show. I mean, there's a lot of great shows. We're in a golden age for television, right? With Breaking Bad and with Mad Men and Sons of Anarchy, whatever else you want that you love out there. This is on level with all that stuff, and it is just otherworldly good.
I agree, man. It's so convincing. A lot of it, there's such a sense of reality here, with the settings, with the people involved in this, the casting especially. It really, really is perfectly cast, like you said. Even the smaller characters, the little time that they get, they definitely take advantage of it. But it does. It feels like a true story too. There's definitely a huge reliance and sense of believability in what's going on here. I was hooked right from the beginning. I really, really, really loved how they, were cutting back and forth between not present day, but 2002, and it's just such a great format for this series. To tell these stories. Like, I could totally see them using this same format for True Detective Season 2. How they're cutting back and forth between the interrogations and people's descriptions of what happened and everything. But, Richard, what are your initial thoughts on True Detective?
Yeah, so I've been binging because I was like 5 episodes behind. So I watched like the first 3 pretty much week by week, and then just caught up. So I kind of was caught up. So I caught up in the last 2 or 3 days, kind of like Brian did with Breaking Bad, just frantically trying to get there.
Yeah.
So I have a very movie relationship with this story because it felt like I was just always watching it, so it felt like kind of a constant movie. I'm kind of a sucker for the flashback, flash forward, flash sideways thing. So I love that aspect of it. I love how they used it. It obviously makes complicated to write, and hard to pull off from a director point of view from the story side of things. But it was done flawlessly. I think it's the best thing HBO's done since.
Band of Brothers.
Yeah, Sopranos, Band of Brothers, and Curb are going to be your top 3, right?
Sure.
I know Boardwalk Empire is good, but it's not really for me.
It's not this. It's.
I think you're forgetting about Summer Heights High, guys.
That's true. You're right.
I actually like Summer Heights High. I don't know why I said that, but go ahead.
But yeah, this is kind of a real bounce back for them, and I can't wait for hashtag True Detective Season 2 to kind of see where they go. Whether this was just chalk this up to a really talented writing directing team, or just to the never failing, all overpowering year of McConaughey. I don't know.
Yeah, and you got to wonder about how long ago they had planned this out. I know McConaughey and Harrelson are both producers of this as well. So, you got to think that they both took a huge discount to get this thing made. And it'd be hard, especially now, to get McConaughey to agree to do something like this.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of whether it's HBO with Harrelson, you got to think his price has significantly gone up in the past 6 to 8 months, especially. So, man, just to top off, like, make the McConaissance last year with Mud and The Wolf of Wall Street and Dallas Buyers Club and freaking True Detective.
Yeah. Year McConaughey, baby.
Like, he was giving an acceptance speech for Best Actor as, like, the episode before the season finale was airing on HBO. Like, he's totally dominating, like, the male actors right now. It's just, like, people can't get enough. And, you know, I wonder how much of the success of the show has to do directly with people's admiration and love of Harrelson and McConaughey together. Like, if this was two no-names,
right?
Do you think this would have been as big a deal?
I think this is very successful no matter what, because I think it's a big deal. I do think it's a big deal, and I think people latched on to the format more than maybe even HBO thought that they would. Mm-hmm. But this is the perfect pair to have launch your show, especially if you're doing something a little bit different like they are. Like, this is, you hit McConaughey right at the right time, but he and Harrelson work so well together. That's just, I mean, that's like if you sat in a room, somebody sat in a room and said, okay, here's what we want to do. What is the ideal group of, the ideal circumstances that we can have? It would be what they got, you know, with Harrelson and McConaughey completely taking off the way that he has over the last year. Man, and next year, I mean, this coming year is going to be just as good for him. Like, you can go ahead and chalk up Best Actor in a miniseries win for him at the Emmys, right? Like, it's over.
Definitely.
Go ahead there, and there's a pretty good chance he's going to have another Academy Award nomination coming this time next year for either Interstellar or what's the other one that he's doing that we were excited about? Crap. Now I'm losing my mind.
Now You See Me Too?
Obviously.
That's Harrelson.
Oh, I confused them, sorry.
No, well,
Magic
Interstellar. I had something else in my head. I was thinking of... Who's in Inherent Vice? I had him in that in my head. That's just Joaquin Phoenix in that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, regardless, there's a good chance that he's going to see something for Interstellar as well, I think. So, man, what a run. What a run.
Yeah. And side note here, I find it really depressing that when you go to Woody Harrelson's IMDb page, it says known for No Country for Old Men, Cheers, Zombieland, and Now You See Me. He probably seen that and is like, oh, geez. The exact reason.
He doesn't even know he did that movie. Don't worry about it.
That is probably true. He probably was under the influence the whole time making it anyway, just to get through it. Crazy. But, yeah, I agree, man. McConaughey brings so much to this show, and especially the last episode, which we'll talk about later. But did you guys feel as if the show was paced correctly between the 8 episodes? Like, I feel like it had a lot of peaks and valleys. Does that make sense? Like, for me, the climax of the show was episode 4, and then falling action, a lot of, relationship drama, and then big time action in the last episode.
Yeah, but, so I'm kind of with you. I think that 4 and 5 are the best episodes, and certainly the most, I think, intense. I think I think the first 4 or 5 episodes were about building, and then the back 3 episodes were about concluding what took place. You know what I mean? Like, they set you up for they built this entire world, and then the last 2 or 3 episodes are about bringing that all together and closing it out. For me, and so I'm with you. I think the way that 4 closes that's one of the greatest shots I've ever seen in anything, movie, TV, whatever. That's just that tracking shot is insane. The difficulty of pulling that off and making that work. And then 5, I think, was just as good. And then after that, I think I'm not going to say it tailed off, but I definitely think that the stakes lowered just a little bit, because you started to feel, because up to a certain point there was a lot of at least underlying suggestion that one of these 2 guys, whether it's Marty or Rust, was in some way responsible for these crimes. And I love that they kept that in the back of your mind throughout those first. But after about the 5th episode, you know that that's not the case, and you're just kind of waiting for it to get to a conclusion. You know.
Yeah, and I love the episode where the interrogators sort of clue Hart in, or Harrelson in, on the fact that they think McConaughey is a suspect. Yeah. Man, what an amazing episode. And, you know, like I said earlier, the relationship between these two guys is what I liked. The whole, fact that Hart's family was falling apart, and the fact that Hart's wife went to McConaughey's character, Cole, for not only advice but for companionship. The fight between them two after that happened, you gotta believe these guys love each other. I mean, as actors, love each other deep down, because you really, really feel like they could kill each other in that scene, especially Hart. This is one of my favorite Harrelson roles ever. I mean, I know McConaughey is going to get a lot of the credit here, but I really liked what Harrelson brought to the table here.
Oh yeah,
as well.
totally.
Do you guys feel that way, Richard?
He's such a laid back human in real life. It's kind of fun to watch him really dive in. And this character and his relationship with McConaughey is, I mean, they're back and forth. I'd love to see a documentary on how they shot this. They shoot it quick, where there are a lot of takes, things like that.
Yes.
Normally, I don't care about stuff like this, but in this show, I definitely would love to see more of that.
I think honestly on HBO Go, there's behind the scenes videos. Because I know I watched a video about episode 4 about how they pulled off the tracking shot at the end of episode 4 when McConaughey storms the drug house.
Yeah.
Man, I want to go back and just talk about that a little bit and touch on what you said, Brian, because, wow, climax of the series right there. And a moment worthy of any Academy Award nominated film we've seen in a long time. It was reminiscent of the car chase sequence in Children of Men. Remember that sequence with the motorcycles chasing them and everything?
That's exactly what I thought of when I watched that. Yeah, absolutely. And that, to me, that shot in Children of Men is the best shot that I don't know that I can say I've ever seen, but in the last 10 or 20 years, that's the best shot from a movie that I've seen.
Yeah, I can't make an argument there. But I heard that they did 8 takes of this, but the amount of choreography that goes into it is truly staggering, and the end result is flawless. I want to say it perfect. The way that Martin Hart, Woody Harrelson's car backs up to the scene at the very end, and Harrelson's actually driving it and looks back and they drive away. It was just beautifully choreographed, and I'm sure people on the internet have been gushing over that scene for a long time. But trust us, if you haven't seen the show, that scene alone is worthy of every ounce of praise that has been poured upon it since it came out. That episode came out, and then the internet just went crazy. That was better than every episode of Breaking Bad combined, and crazy stuff like that. People were saying, but
it was magnificent, and funnily, I think that from a camera work standpoint, I don't think you'll ever see anything finer than that. I mean, it's spectacular. To me, the best scene in the whole series was when they stormed the meth compound. Because of, and it's partly because of the way that they set it up with the backing of, it was either Hart or Cole, I can't remember which, describing what happened, and they're giving the politically correct version, I guess, the version that they wrote for their report, and then you're seeing something completely different take place on the screen. Yeah, that is that's a magnificent sequence of events that just plays incredibly well and rolls all together so well. The way that Cary Fukunaga put it together and structured it is. Hey, man, fam, question for you.
Do you own a small business, or are you a boss? Are you looking to hire awesome people, but you just can't find somebody to fill that role? Well, let me tell you about ZipRecruiter.com. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100 plus job sites, all with one click. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. Right now, you can post your jobs for free on ZipRecruiter by going to ZipRecruiter.com/mad. That's ZipRecruiter.com/mad. One more time, try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/mad. Thanks to ZipRecruiter for supporting this episode of the Mad About Movies podcast. Hey, what's up, ma'am fam? Kent here. And yes, if you're hearing from me, you know it's time to talk about Blue Apron. If you haven't tried out Blue Apron by now, what the heck are you even doing? Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. They deliver fresh meals straight to your door. All the food is fresh, it's sourced from local farms, and there's no wasted ingredients. I've been a Blue Apron subscriber for a long time now, and they have still, to this day, never let me down. There's tons of variety. Some featured upcoming meals include summer vegetable and egg paninis, soy glazed pork and rice cakes, skillet vegetable chili with cheddar drop biscuits, holy crap, and garlic butter shrimp and corn with green bean salad. So take it from me. Try out Blue Apron now. Go to blueapron.com/mad. That's blueapron.com/mad. Get 3 meals on us for free. Nothing goes better with a movie than dinner. So check out Blue Apron, blueapron.com/mad. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Spectacular.
Yeah. There was a little bit of controversy surrounding this series over the past, over the run of its show, about people saying that this show did a horrible job of respecting women. I didn't get that vibe much, other than the fact that the plot literally is trying to solve the murder of a woman. And of course, the circumstances surrounding that disappearance of that woman are probably not pleasant at all.
Yeah.
And no one respects Alexandra Daddario more than me, I should say.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I just wanted y'all's response to that. Like, how did y'all feel that this show respected women?
As someone not in that camp, the last time I checked, I don't even want to speak to that because I can't. Right? I mean, I'm not a woman. I can't. I have no way of knowing.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I didn't feel that way as watching it. I didn't. Not to say, I didn't think that the women were showed in a particularly good light, but I didn't feel that it was necessarily crazy. I don't think anybody is shown in a good light. No, this is not a bright show. I mean, this is about two people that kind of hate each other, and B, two people's families who are either non-existent or are falling apart before our very eyes. So it's hard to do that and be like, everything is good and dandy here. But I like Michelle Monaghan's performance here. Even though I don't feel like her character was developed particularly well. We didn't get a lot of her in this show. But, I felt like she definitely served a purpose here as far as motivating Woody Harrelson's character into a lot of the actions he gives us throughout the show. The last episode, let's touch on that.
Yeah, let's talk the finale.
I had such high expectations for the finale. And to be honest, like, the finale easily surpassed my expectations.
Really?
I was blown away by the finale. Not only how it sort of wrapped up the series, but it sort of felt like a different thing than what we were getting. It was like everything was building up to the finale. It felt like a cross between like Fargo and like Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the end. When they come across the house in the woods, it had aspects of every genre that I like crime and sort of drama / horror at the end. It was quite satisfactory to me as far as what I wanted. But, people are probably going to criticize it because it didn't have the outcome that they wanted, maybe, or that they had predicted. But because you can make an argument that the outcome of this case is sort of random. There's not a lot leading up to it. There was a lot of speculation, but, they go to an old woman's house, a nursing home, and she's, oh yeah, my house was painted this year. Do you remember who painted it? Oh yeah, it was this guy. And that's how they find out who the killer was.
I actually really liked that aspect of it because I felt like the whole show was very like the underlying, like what's happening is actually fairly simple. And so it's just all the complexities around it that make it more difficult. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I kind of liked that the whole case kind of hinged on a very simple detail.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
That brought that together. I will say, I thought the finale was the weakest of the 8 episodes.
Wow.
Agreed.
And most of that, I think, came down to, and we're in spoiler territory at this point for the dear listener. If you haven't watched, go watch it and come back and finish. Like I said, I think it was the weakest of the 8 episodes. It was still very good. I still would say it's an A or an A minus. But my biggest, I don't know, issue, but where I felt like it showed some weakness was in the chase and then the ultimate demise of the Yellow King. I don't remember the guy's name.
Yeah.
I felt like that was very cliche for a show that had avoided cliches quite a bit, in my opinion. Like the whole bit of Rust is basically about to die, then Marty saves him, and then Marty's about to get tomahawked to death, and right at the last second, Rust shoots the guy in the head. And it was, I've just, I've seen that in 100 action movies, and it was just a very similar take on a like I said, a show that has really, I think, has avoided that sort of cliche up to this point. From that, I will say the last 10 or 15 minutes, I thought we were going to get a big twist, honestly, because when it got to that point and they've wrapped up the issue, the case or whatever, but there was still 10 or 15 minutes left of the of the episode. I really thought we were going to get some kind of crazy twist, and of course, there's hundreds of crazy theories out there regarding what was going to happen. And so maybe that was part of it. I had read all these things and was kind of waiting for something to happen. But I really liked that last 10 or 15 minutes because I felt like it went against the
epilogue, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, in a normal movie or a normal dark TV show like this, neither of those guys survive, right? Or certainly not both of them survive. And I really liked Rust's change in his attitude towards life and stuff, because that I think was very much against what you normally see in a show like this. I just felt like the build up in that last episode, it's really the 30 middle minutes, because I felt like the beginning was horrifying of that last episode, right? It really was a terrifying scene that they built, and then the epilogue was really good, but the lead up to the conclusion to me was a bit lacking as far as ingenuity, I guess, in a show that had really shown that a lot throughout the first 7 episodes.
Yeah, I see your point there, but you got to remember that this is a procedural show.
It is
kind of. These guys are cops, so they kind of have to go about their business like cops would. Mm-hmm. But I thought the twist at the end, when they show McConaughey in the hospital bed and he's sort of staring off into space. And then Harrelson comes in and he's like, everything okay? And he's like, no, there's one more thing. I thought McConaughey was going to be like, I actually did it, confess to the whole thing and be like, we just killed an innocent man because of me. All this is because all this pain and sorrow in both of our lives is because of my actions. I thought there was going to be a huge confessional at the end scene.
Yeah.
But obviously that would have pleased too many fans, because I think that would have been more predictable than what actually happened.
Right.
But that was what I liked so much about this series, is that, there was definitely a conversation that was created around the show, which I feel like HBO didn't anticipate as much as they should have. They could have done a lot more online, with the True Detective website or something, and hashtagging and all that. It was definitely more of a debate than I think anyone had anticipated, and there were people coming up with their own theories about who the killer was going to be before. I like that about the show.
Oh, absolutely!
I love it.
It became event television. We talked about this a little bit when we did our Breaking Bad episode, but that doesn't happen very often anymore because there are so many TV choices, right? So you can watch 150 different shows at any given point. So people don't watch the same things. They don't talk about the same things. As somebody who watched Lost from the very beginning to the end and had there were plenty of times I had major issues with that show, but the best part about Lost was the discussion and the theories and everybody I knew was talking about it and trying to figure out what was happening and stuff. And I think that was very similar with Breaking Bad, of what was going to happen in that final episode, or, the final 8 episodes or whatever. And this, I think True Detective was the same way, which is saying something considering that it's on HBO and so many less people have an opportunity to see it. Yeah,
I definitely see your point. And do y'all have any other general thoughts about this show? We've been going for a while here. We'll probably need to wrap it up soon. But, man, my overall thoughts is just impressed. I mean, I remember recommending this on Week Recommends after the first episode because I saw the potential. I think it definitely lived up to my expectations for the show. And I'm really, really excited about Season 2.
They got a lot. Who's your dream Season 2 cast?
Oh, man. I mean, probably the obvious. Will Arnett and Will Forte, the brothers Solomon. That would be awesome. I don't know. I would like to see a female, maybe. A female-male combo would be interesting. Certainly. Do y'all have any ideas? I mean, I know True Detective Season 2 hashtag was been huge as a joke for the past couple weeks. But I think... Yeah, like I said, they've got a lot to live up to here.
The Kornheiser-Wilbon one is my favorite.
yeah,
that
exactly.
would be awesome. No, to me, I said at the beginning, I think as much as I really, really dig this show and this season, I'm much more excited from the standpoint of what sort of possibilities that's going to lend itself to in the future. Because I love this style of making a TV show. From beginning to end, you know what it is. It's 8 episodes. Here it is. We can tell the story. There's no stretching it out. You can get a great cast because it's such a short filming period. And so, I mean, I feel like this is such a great, and the fact that it got so popular is a great step in the right direction for premium network television, right? So HBO and FX and whatever else, if they can embrace this format, then man, I think we're going to have so much great TV headed our way. I hope for Season 2 and Season 3 and beyond of this show, I hope that they don't stick to the same idea as far as a serial killer bit. I hope the next season is something completely different. Because this season was perfect, not only in its casting, but we should have mentioned the setting is spectacular because Louisiana is creepy, just in general. It's just kind of a creepy place. And there's so much weird stuff that you can find there. And so they set it perfectly for this story. If you take that same serial killer type vibe and set it somewhere else, I don't know that it works quite as well. I would love to see them do some sort of a conspiracy theory one in the next round, maybe a terrorist cell or something like that. I'd like to see, when we're looking back in 10 years at, the 10 seasons of True Detective, I'd like it to have been, maybe there's another serial killer at some point, like in season 6.
A variety of crimes.
But I want to see a variety, exactly, of things that we're delving into with these different casts, because I think that will keep it fresh and make it just as interesting year to year as it was this year.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the response to this show. If other networks will try to do a similar thing or what, It's the Fargo series is coming out really soon on FX. And so that could have a similar vibe to this, maybe. That stars Martin Freeman from Sherlock and Colin Hanks and some other people. And it already got picked up for a full season, so that's a good sign for Fargo. So look out for that. But I agree, Brian. I see potential here to make this more than anyone could have anticipated. In the second season, I think it'll be probably the most hyped show next year, depending on where The Walking Dead is at that point and other factors. But man, True Detective season 2 is going to be an event if they're depending on the casting. If they're like George Lopez and Kevin James present, Well, I'm being facetious, but
wow, yeah.
So, what are y'all's grades for True Detective? I'm going to give it a solid A.
I go A+.
Richard,
I'm going to go A-.
Now, where does this rank as far as your series is, guys? Breaking Bad and Sherlock are up there for me. This is quite up there as well, though. It's, I don't know, The Americans is really good, too. I'm in the middle of that right now.
Yes,
that's strong to quite strong. But, man, True Detective is...
To me, this was, like Brian said, it's more mini-series than series to me.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare.
Yeah. I think more shows should do, like, 8-episode seasons.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's just too much to get through for, like, 22 for a season. It's just ridiculous. Can't take it.
And changing cast every year. American Horror Story kind of invented that, right? And really genius on their part. I mean,
totally.
You get some really big players.
They're in anthology drama. That's what it's called. That's what they're called.
Yeah,
the genre. All right, guys. Good stuff. Good stuff as always. Do y'all want to do a quick week recommend?
Weekly recommends.
I'm going to recommend a documentary television series that premiered this past weekend on Fox. It premiered on Sunday night against the True Detective finale and The Walking Dead and whatever else was on television on last Sunday night. But is the premiere of the reinvigorated, rebooted version of Carl Sagan's Cosmos on Fox. It is executive produced by none other than Seth MacFarlane of Family Guy fame and the wife of the late Carl Sagan, Anne Druyan, who Anne Druyan has been trying to get this rebooted for quite a long time, apparently, from my research. And she actually met up with Neil deGrasse Tyson and Seth MacFarlane, who they all met each other at some convention or fundraiser or something for like science education, and they just got to talking one day, and she was like, "Man, I had this new vision for Carl's series that I want to bring it back," and Seth MacFarlane was like, "Hey, I've got money, I'll fund the whole thing for you." So he was a huge financier. He brought it to Fox. Fox committed to putting it on for 13 episodes. For 13 weeks, bumping The Simpsons and Family Guy and their big animation domination Sunday night lineup for this, educational series, really, for the Fox network, which is, they don't put out a lot of educational series, depending on how you look at.
Comically, it makes up for Dads. Dads taught us a lot.
Yeah. I think Seth MacFarlane feels bad about Dads. So, he needed to educate some people. But I saw the first episode. It sort of talks about the Milky Way and the Earth's place in the Milky Way and stuff. It's awesome. It's hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson.
And it goes into some multiverse stuff, which you guys may not know is a big fascination of mine, the multiverse. And very cool.
It's sort of like Morgan Freeman's Through the Wormhole, except not as ridiculous, I would say. Like, Morgan Freeman's Through the Wormhole lost me when they had an episode that was like, does reality really exist?
Yeah.
Are we really here? Yes, we're here because we're here. Because we're all here. Does time exist? Yes, time exists. Because it does. I can tell you right now, time is a thing. But this is definitely based in reality, and it asks questions, which I like in documentary science shows. Really well done. The production values are great. Really cool to look at.
The only down part would be those weird animations they did for like Copernicus and stuff.
Yeah, they did. They did like weird 2D animation for some stuff. We'll have to see where it goes in the 13 episodes. But, I mean, if it's only a 13-episode thing and then they threw it on DVD, I think that's a pretty cool deal.
Definitely.
You know, it'll be something worth having. I think the original Cosmos is worth checking out, too. I believe it's on Netflix. But definitely check that out or read the book Cosmos by Carl Sagan. Awesome stuff. So, yeah, educate yourself and check out and put a series order on this TV show on Fox called Cosmos, A Space-Time Odyssey. That's what it's called. So, there you go. That's my recommend. Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to just give you a couple of we've talked about before. We may have even recommended one or two of them, but two movies, my favorite movies from 2013, both hit DVD Blu-ray in the last couple of days. The Hunger Games Catching Fire and Inside Llewyn Davis are both readily available to you.
Really? Llewyn Davis is out already?
Yep, it hit today. So make sure you check that out. I've ordered my copy. It should be here in a day or two. I love Inside Llewyn Davis.
You didn't go to Best Buy?
Shut up. But one of my favorite movies, we all really enjoyed it quite a bit, but I would think it was number 4 on my list this year. Loved it. It's such a fun's not even the right word, but man, what a great movie. I'm really excited to watch it again. And I've still I don't think that CD has left my my player in my car since I saw the movie. I've just been listening to it constantly. I love it so much. And then Hunger Games for me was the best blockbuster of the year. So check those out. And if you missed them in theaters, they are available to you in multiple formats now.
So a little connection to True Detective here. The theme to True Detective, T-Bone Burnett, who also did Inside Llewyn Davis music.
Yeah.
So there you go. Good little recommend there, Brian. And I definitely would second that. Definitely check out both those films. Great stuff. Richard, recommend.
Yeah, sure. Kent, you actually stole my recommend, so I'm going to go with something else off the seat of my little pants. I'm going to go new late night show. I'm going to do the Seth Meyers show.
Cool.
Which is always fun to watch those shows in their infancy, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's a little vanilla right now, but I think it'll kick up, and Fred Armisen makes me giggle with his interactions with the guests. He's probably the star of the show so far, which Myers should probably get tabs on here pretty quick. But definitely an enjoyable hour, fun spirit to it. I think they should maybe go a little meaner with it, only because Fallon kind of has the nice cornered, so to speak. But definitely a fun little show, and gotta love late night. I mean, I've been watching late night my whole life, so this is now my 4th late night host in my life. So enjoying it so far.
The definitely saw growth in like the first episode. I watched the premiere. It's kind of rough at the beginning. Yeah. So like I watched a week later, infinitely better. Yeah. Already, he's so much more used to being up there. I like how he'll do his monologue and then he goes and sits down and then him and Fred have a little chat before every show and they just kind of cut up. I love that. And I like how he's had SNL cast members on there.
Yeah, I like that too, but I hope that doesn't continue forever.
No, I'm sure it's all like have your friends on there at first and then whatever. All they got to do is come down the hall. I mean, how hard is it for them to book those people?
Oh, exactly.
It's Keenan was on there. I think Sandberg was on last night.
Yep.
It's and Fallon's been doing well for the Tonight Show. I've been very impressed with what he's done with that show.
Yeah, Fallon's been great, man. I've kept with Fallon. I've kept up with Fallon. I mean, 1 or 2 episodes behind, but that's become my go-to show. I still record Conan and I'll watch the episodes that where I'm excited about a guest or whatever. But Fallon is better than I expected him to be.
Apparently, Conan is here in town right now.
Yeah, I think they're researching.
He's just been hanging out in Dallas.
2 different people with profile pictures with Conan, and I'm very glad.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And he came into my friend's Western store. He's just shooting all the bits.
Yeah.
So they came in a weekend early to shoot.
Yeah, I love Conan. What an awesome, awesome guy. But yeah, the Seth Meyers show is great. I love the little bit Fallon did, the barbershop quartet doing Ignition.
Yeah.
R. Kelly. I was like, that is so genius.
They're stealing my show, guys.
Yeah, that's exactly what we would have done. Like in the first week, we would have been like, we need to do something with Ignition. Definitely. Awesome. Great recommend, Richard. And I will recommend that as well. Very impressed with Mr. Myers. Although, I got to admit, man, Jimmy Kimmel has been stealing my viewership. He's in Austin this week, doing live from South by Southwest, and he's broadcasting from the Draft House down in Austin.
That's very cool.
And had Seth Rogen on last night, Snoop Dogg. Wow. How funny was that? It was so good. All right, guys. Anything else you guys want to mention this week? I love you.
I love you.
All right. And on that note, until next time, we will see you at the cinema.
Get on the wall and put the inspector on. The seat's been called for clues. Whoa, whoa.